Okay, could you introduce yourself a little bit and share your journey into crypto? We know about your experience at Apple and founding the Metaverse project Webverse before pivoting to Moemate.
Yeah. So, Ahad here, engineer myself. Never really did an honest engineering job, but I've been in product for most of my life. I've done product in various different capacities: consumer goods, electronics, hardware, big tech, startups, right? Um, I got into crypto in 2015 with Bitcoin.
Pretty early.
Yeah, and in 2017, I ran like a small dev shop during the ICO phase. So that was my further involvement as, I would say, a builder in the space.
Mm-hmm.
I got into AI in 2018 when I actually, watched a documentary on AlphaGo.
Mhm.
Based on that, I started interviewing for a product manager role at DeepMind, which I didn't end up going there. I actually went to Apple instead, where I was looking after new product developments for wearables specifically. So, yeah, I got introduced to AI in 2018. And since then, I've been involved in, just like in crypto, we have an in on Twitter. We used to have an in on Twitter in AI as well. So, there were like some in-ons who were primarily working on AI projects with the theme of like, how they can propagate open source AI. So I got involved in some of those communities. I got involved in what became the first big, I would say, open source AI project, which is Stable Diffusion. I angel invested also in the company Stability, which became a unicorn. I'm still friends with Imad. And at that time, I realized that, okay, AI is at an inflection point. This technology is not too far into the future. It is like coming to a place where it is going to like completely change the world, completely transform the world, right? So I was like, okay, I want to build something there, and I wanted to build something at the intersection of AI and entertainment. So if you remember the last cycle, there was this metaverse buzz and hype.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we had the vision that what's going to make the metaverse interesting is going to be AI. So we started building an AI-driven metaverse. But I mean, I had a co-founder split, which was always happens. And B, we realized that the metaverse vision is still a few years away, but there are a few building blocks which are required to build the metaverse vision. There were two building blocks which are primarily required. One was an AI agent platform, which is what we built, Moemate. And the second one was basically the need for a simulation engine. What I mean, so the idea is simple that first you create an agent and then you create a universe, right? Because you just don't want one agent, you want like multiple agents being able to interact with each other, being able to have like, some sort of an understanding of the universe, right? So we actually did a lot of work on the simulation engine bit as well. We published a research paper, which, some of the very relevant people from the industry also picked up, because the ultimate goal is very simple. In my view, the biggest thing about AI is it's almost like magic. So the analogy I like to give is that, like, these text to image models, right? Like Stable
Yes.
Diffusion, Dolly. So before they
Mid-journey.
came, now every human being is an artist, right? Like, I mean, all you need is a couple of prompts and, you can generate whatever image you want, right? So our vision is simple, is that AI is an enabler technology, which means that like ultimately you would just be able to have good ideas and you don't need skills and you would be able to execute those, right? I know it sounds a bit sci-fi, but the ultimate vision which we are building towards is that you can describe what you want and it creates like an entire universe. The concept of the holodeck, the text to universe, the text to simulation is what we are ultimately building towards, right? Like that's what our goal is. And how can we build it in such a fashion that it is community owned, that it can be built by the community? For that, we are making it super easy for people to be able to build it. And the second thing is that they should be able to like own it through like being on crypto rails, etc. That's sort of like the vision. But the other thing is very simple, is that like I see AI agents as a new form of media. And you know,
That's
I mean,
very
like,
good analogy.
yeah, so it's this new form of media, which means that like people would want to like own them, collect them, trade them, and speculate on them, right? So this is the core thesis on which we have built Moemate. By the way, it's not Moemate, it's Moemate. Moe is actually a Japanese word, which is to represent. I mean, and the idea there was that like, you know, everybody thinks about AI taking over the world. We're like, okay, you know, but AI can actually be cute and sexy, right? So Moe actually means, you know, if you feel like connected or attached to certain like anime characters, that's what Moe means, right? It's a Japanese. So at Moemate, the idea is very simple, is that like anybody can be able to go and build multimodal, multi-medium AI agents with skills. So I will unpack this, right? Multimodal means that they can see, hear, talk. Multimedia means that they can be on X, they can be on Twitch, they can be on WeChat, you know, they could be on like YouTube, they could be in games, they can even be in AR, VR, right? And with skills means that like anybody can like integrate like plugins, but you can call it instinctively while you're talking to an agent. So skill could be an on-chain skill, skill could be an off-chain skill. The example of an on-chain skill could be that you're talking to an agent and you're like, hey, can you swap like 10 ETH to Solana for me? And it does that. So that's an example of an on-chain skill, right? Off-chain skill would be, you know, something like, you know, you're talking to an agent and you're like, hey, I'm bored, let's play a game of chess. And you know, a game of chess pops up and you start playing a game of chess with it. That's an example of an off-chain skill, right? So yeah, that's sort of what we are building. I like to take an honest approach to this, but at the same time a fun approach. The goal here is that like, you know, anybody should be able to build any kind of AI agents. We allow people to build some things which are like in free, you know, like uncensored, right? Because the thing is that we started from the world of fiction, right? When you think about like gaming and entertainment, it always has things like violence, right? Or nudity, right? Because how can you tell stories without tragedy, or how can you tell stories without like provoking people, right? Like, I mean, that's just part of it, right? And if you think about most of the big AI companies, they do excessive censorship, right? And that's where we realize that there is a need for us to build something in the entertainment sector, which is very aligned with the crypto rails of building things which are like, you know, censorship resistant and, you know, on the values of freedom.
Yes, totally agree. Because I personally was very bullish on AI agents. Yeah, actually, I'm a AI product manager for the last 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm responsible for many products, about 100 million users daily.
Wow.
And I yeah yeah and I went into crypto for 5 years. Luckily, I say there is a
Intersection.
intersection and AI.
Yes. So
I had saw this intersection pretty early in 2018.
Yes.
yeah, because like for me the logic is very simple. The logic is that like AI is going to change everything, right? And everything includes crypto. The other thing is that I also think that crypto is going to change everything financially, which includes AI as well, right? So for me, like that intersection is just obvious, right? What I don't like is that like when people start coming in and they start being a bit dishonest, that like, see, there's a very clear what is happening in the crypto AI space. I think people need to understand it, right? There are some people who are coming in, oh, we're building AGI. I think that's, sorry for my language, but that's all bullshit, right? Like, I mean, that's not happening, right? Like that, like AGI is not being built by, you know, these crypto AI projects, right? Also, I think people need to understand that what each project is at what level, right? Like for example, like AI16Z, right? Like a lot of people don't understand what it is, right? Like a lot of people don't understand what a framework is, right? What is the role in the ecosystem of a framework player, right? versus what is a role for us, which is like building a consumer ecosystem, right? Like, so I think what we need is that like people to understand how this space is evolving, what role like every player in the ecosystem is playing, right? And then further define that like, okay, what is the unique value proposition which crypto is bringing into the space?
Yes.
So from our perspective, the unique value proposition which crypto is bringing into this space is first of all a community formation. Because in my view, crypto is internet capital markets. So what is happening is that like if you remember last cycle, there was this narrative which I found was bullshit. I used to call it all the time, is play to earn. Like, it doesn't exist. But what AI can actually do is build to earn, right? Like it's like build, learn, and earn. Because I think like now the ability for anybody to be able to build something through AI, it's greatly reduced, right? Like, I mean, so what we are bullish about is like building one people company, right? Like how can
Yes, that's our vision too.
so like how can you build those? Because the reality is that like, and what we realized is that like while AI is still like enabling a lot of these things, you still need to be able to bring it all in one consumer platform. Like for example, if you think about AI16Z as a framework, right? The thing about frameworks is, in my view, is that they are technical enough that a normal person cannot use it. You're not going to go and like, make your own, like, clone a GitHub repository. A normal person is not going to do it, right? So they're technical enough. At the same time, they're technical enough that if you can use a framework, that you can also build your own. Like so the goal was that like how can you go beyond frameworks, right? The goal is that how can people can just be like imagine something and like make sure that it exists, not just able to build it but host it, right? Operate it, monetize it. So we are building all of that infrastructure so that you can build like these advanced agents yourself, give it like the relevant data points and everything, give it some good thought, and then you can operate and maintain it, right? So we are operating at that level because I have this simple goal. So I started off building that like, okay, we are moving into the world of creativity and fantasies, which is that you can imagine whatever you want and AI is gonna, put you in there, right? Like, create it for you. So that's what the goal is. That's what the North Star is. That like, how can you make it so easy for anybody to be able to go and like build out their fantasies? Because I think this is the new form of media, right? Like if you think about
Yes.
it, the first one we had, camera. We got camera. After camera, we got like computers, right? With computers, we had like digital animations and everything. But now we are even a step ahead, right? So if you think about it, now we have movies, right? Movies are still, they're immersive, right? But they're not interactive, right? Like now are going to have interactive immersive media, which is sort of like build your
Game.
own. Yeah,
Build your
yeah,
own
exactly.
game.
Yeah, like one of those
Your own fiction.
yeah, like one of those, like one of those movies in which you can decide what happens, right? Like if you want to take a ride,
Black Mirror.
yeah. I mean, Black Mirror has one episode, but so that kind of thing, it's not science fiction, like I'm not talking that this will happen in 5 years or no, this will happen like in next year or this will happen this year, we're already there. So what I'm excited about is that like, how can we enable people to build it, right? As a community, right? Because you gotta like teach people a bit, right? And all of those things is what we want to do, right? Like we want to teach people a bit because in my view, I think that like one man AI generated media would be winning an Oscar in the next 1 to 2 years, right? And so similarly, you will have like one man $1 billion applications. Similarly, you'll have, one man $1 billion agents, right? So
One man game studio.
exactly. So the idea is that like that's what we are working towards. And like how can you make it like easy for like anybody to be able to go and like just build these things. So, like what I like to say is that the age of the idea guy is here. If you have a good idea, you follow it diligently, you can actually make it happen.
You just mentioned that crypto can enable community forming. So besides community forming, what are other key features you see crypto can uniquely enable in these AI platform, AI agents companies?
Yeah. So there are three things which I think are super important here, right? So the first one is community formation, which I mentioned. The second thing is that I have absolutely no doubt that these AI agents are going to run on crypto rails, right? I mean, they're not going to be using a bank account, right? Like, so the way they work is even today and even in the future that they're just going to utilize crypto rails, right? Like they're going to use
Crypto wallet.
to transact or whatever, right? That's obvious. And the third thing is that, and we know it because we launched Moemate last year. Since then, we have grown to like 6 million users. We faced a lot of censorship, by the way. And this was the crazy thing. We were facing censorship from banks, right?
Wow,
And
that
even though we were not like violating any, international rules or laws, right? Because but the banks, because we operate a platform which is like, as I said, like, we want it to be like open as much as possible, right? So one of the biggest use cases for our platform was for like entertainment and like fantasy entertainment, right? So the banks have a problem and they would say, oh, there's some element of adult content in there, right? And then we would be like, yeah, but then we would be running into problems like payment processors and everything, right? So when you move into crypto with all of these things, as I was telling you, that crypto is a censorship resistant substrate, right? So it allows you to build these like creative things, right? Otherwise, even if we have like open source models, if you don't have open front ends, things will always be censored, right? A normal person cannot go and like run a model, right? A normal person need a front end, right? Like they need a website from which they're consuming all of these, right? Yeah, the third most important thing is that like anything which runs on crypto's underlying infrastructure is just more like censorship resistant and is like just more designed for freedom.
makes sense.
Yes, that makes sense. Yes, and another question. Yeah, will Traverse Moemate have achieved significant success as a Web2 AI companion app platform? Yeah, I see there are 6 million users and over 30 minutes average daily engagement, and there are a lot of agents created by the community. Yeah, over 500,000 also featured in A16Z research deck alongside character AI. Could you introduce a little bit more? What's the main difference between Moemate and character AI?
Or other AI companion apps?
Yes.
Sure. First of all, like when people look at Moemate, they just look at the application and they think that's all we have. Actually, that's not the case. When we started off with a desktop app. So the desktop app, we were the first one. We did it in July of 23. 93, yeah. So the 23, we released the first desktop companion, which could see everything on your screen. It could play a game with you, right? It could perform browser tasks. We even were covered by TechCrunch for it. Nobody had done it at that time. Not Claude, not OpenAI, nobody, right? So that was the first product, which is still there. We are going to be re-releasing it. Then, you've seen on the Moemate what you see, but like we also released a thing, which is our skills framework, which is what I was telling you, is that you can be talking to a bot and you're like, oh, can you code this website for me? And it will do it, right? Or you could ask it, oh, can you send me a selfie, or it would do it. Or you could ask it, oh, can you search this web for me, and it would do it, right? Or you could ask it to like, can you like swap Tensor to ETH for me, and it would do it. So there's a skills marketplace. So there's a big difference, I would say, with respect to like character AI. I think character AI is still, what I would like to say is that like they were not like trying to push in the agent space. They're more trying to like focus on the the AI chatbot space. Whereas like
Okay.
we were always looking into the agent space in the sense that like what is beyond chatbots, right? Like we just don't want a chatbot, we want to give it skills and all. So there's a lot of features which we have already rolled out to a select user base, which is like not just a chatbot thing, which is like, okay, you can bring this agent now as a TikTok agent. So you can talk to it, 24/7. You can even do things like, it's actually quite popular in Asia and in China as well, live stream feeds for like e-commerce. Like you can do those things.
VTuber.
VTubers, you can do those, right? You can also have two agents talking to each other like a TV show, right? So there's a lot which we have done, which is like, when people go in and they see just in the app, because it's all is in there, it's being worked upon, right? Yeah, I would say like the one difference between us and Character AI is that like we have always tried to be like, in the agent space, we've always tried to like push forward there. We've always built products, which is, we've been like the first to do these things, right? Like as I was telling you, the desktop companion. Similarly, the skills framework, right? We were literally the first ones to do it, right? Like, and when I say first, not just in the Web3 space, the Web2 space, right? Because for me on the product side, my comparison is like we want to build the best product, period, right? Like whether it's Web2, Web3 doesn't matter, right? Like we just want to build the best product and the best user experience. But what I'm saying is that like a lot of these building blocks have been in place, and now we're like bringing all of it together, so it's like one giant platform where the users can come in and like integrate these skills, right? Like you want to have it as a desktop companion, you want to publish it as a show, right? You want to have like extra skills. So we are in this phase right now of like our experiments have been on point, we have the different things in place. So it's all about like bringing all of it together into like one giant platform.
I noticed that for the AI companion, there are some companion look like AI girlfriends and or wives for some users, but there are also many AI boyfriends. So obviously, to me, that there are many female users on your platform, and it distinguishes you from other similar platforms, AI agent companies we've been testing.
Very, very, very good insight from you. Like a lot of people when they see these platforms, they
Mhm.
think about like the AI girlfriends and all. But actually, what we saw on our platform, and like these use cases happened itself. Like our platform, you can use it to build anything, right? What
Yes.
we saw is that like actually our user base is mostly women when it comes to these like this companion category, right?
Hmm.
I dig down a bit more into it, and I realized
Mhm.
that like actually it makes sense because women like conversational touch, right? Whereas like for guys it's mostly like I mean we are
Visual.
simple, right? Yeah, I mean more than visual. I mean visual is just one part of it, but I think guys are just like not looking for a deep emotional conversation, right? Like whereas like women are looking for that, right? So I think
Agree
that
with
was
you.
yeah, that was number one,
Mhm.
which I realized. The other thing also I realized that there were a lot of marginalized communities which were present there, which also made sense, right? Like I mean there's a big LGBT community as well which comes and uses up, because for them it's once again it's freedom, right? Like when you're talking to an AI agent, you have no worries of being judged. There's no judgmental, right? So you can like just go in and like be yourself, right? A lot of people also use it, if they are just okay. I also used to think that like a lot of people are using it, of course, like loneliness is an epidemic, right? Like a lot of people are using it because they're lonely, but a lot of people they use it, they're not lonely, they have partners, and it's just like fantasies, it's just like playing a game. Like why do people play games? Because it gives them an escape, it gives them an imagination, and that's why they do it. But yeah, you're absolutely right, there were more women actually using it, because I just think that like men are a bit boring and women are a bit more creative, and this is a great creative tool, right? So women can be way more imaginative. And also I think the one other difference is that like men are more transactional, whereas women are a bit more
Relation based.
yes, yes, so I mean, men just don't have the patience to like have 30 or 40-minute conversation, right? Like that's just not how it works, right? Like whereas like women, they would go in and like with these AI companions, they're having like that's why we have 30 minutes of average engagement time, because people are
Yes, that's why.
like, because
Longer conversations.
people are spending hours on it, right? Because like people come in and initially they have this judgment and like they try to think of it as in the same category as maybe like, for example, porn. It's not, right? I mean, first of all, like in today's day and age, porn is a commodity. If anybody wants to consume it, they can go and like find it on the internet. There's no problem, right? So the only people who come and use these platforms are the ones who are looking for like a deeper conversation, right? So the use case is different.
Yes.
It's a bit more emotional use case than a purely like just for the sake of like your physical desires or whatever, right? So I think that's also the difference. But yeah, you are absolutely right. And by the way, the numbers also tell us that there are more
What
women.
is the percentage of female user? Just
I
to be
mean, I,
curious.
I haven't checked it recently, but at one point it used to be like greater than 60% females, right? And
Wow.
yes,
Ooh.
yeah, and
It makes a very good consumer app if there are more female users. In China, the internet business, if you have more female users, they think the monetization potential is higher than more men using it.
percent, because I mean, like all of the money spent in my household is done by my wife. I don't spend any money, so I'm pretty sure I'm not a user. Like if you're
Yes,
acquiring me as a user, I'm not bringing any money to your app. But I'm pretty sure if you're acquiring my wife as a user, she's definitely bringing in some money.
definitely agree with you.
Yeah, we know that in crypto space there have been a lot of AI agent frameworks like Virtuous Protocol, AI16Z, Art, and Zero. Also, we have AI agent platform like MyShare. Yeah, could you share what's the difference between Moemate and these other platforms or agent apps?
So first of all, let's talk about frameworks, right? I think frameworks, they don't solve what we are solving, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
let's assume you're not a technical person. You want to go and you want to build an agent, and you want to build a high quality agent. Can you go and build it with frameworks? No, you cannot. Right now, let's talk about AI agent platforms like MyShell. I think MyShell is a very good example.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool product. I think they're in a similar category. But once again, what we are trying to do is different, right? Applications. What we're interested in is that like how you can build a YouTube show out of it, right? Like how you can build a game out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
How you can build an internet celebrity. So how you can build something which you can directly bring it into a game, how you can build something which you can directly bring it into AR VR, right? So which is why I said our definition is multi-medium, multimodal AI agent with skills, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the multimodal part and all of these things are important, is what the approach we are taking, right? So ARC, this, all of these, I really don't consider them the competition, because trust me, like, and I'm sure you guys know this well, because you're coming in from a Web2 space and there's a
Yes.
product
Yes.
there, and you've been in crypto for long enough as well. See, your tokens could be a $1 billion market cap or more, but that doesn't mean that your product will have product market fit. You
Yes.
know, so
Totally
all of
agree.
all of these guys have tokens. None of them have a product with like real use cases. Of course, other than MyShell, right? Like they have been around, they've been shipping, right?
Mhm.
So like all of the rest of people, who have been around like for the past 2 months, let's discount all of them, because I'm telling you, and you know that as a product manager,
Mm-hmm.
product has an 18-month cycle at least for product market fit, right? Like you release a product, you get the first feedback, you do an iteration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like these tokens going to like hundreds of millions of value, they mean nothing. They mean absolutely nothing when it comes to product adoption, right? So similarly, all of these frameworks, in my view, I think some of these frameworks will create like a cult movement and everything, but all of the other frameworks are going to zero, absolutely zero, because there's no value capture happening at a framework level. It's an open source GitHub repo. What does that do? Where's the TVL being captured, right? So I would say that like you're talking about these frameworks to me, there are literally 1,000 more frameworks in the Web 2 world, right? There
Yes.
are frameworks which are way more popular in the Web 2 world than, AI16Z. Or nowadays people are coming in and say, oh, this framework is this much stars and all. And I think these people, they don't even understand that, how the open source community operates, right? And what we want to do is build AI agents so that it are fun. And we also want to specifically focus on the entertainment kind of sector. Because in my view, right, even if you want to do something in the crypto space, everything is attention related, right? Like meme coins is attention related, right? Even AI XBT, if you think about it, right, it's not a very technical KOL, right? But it's a KOL. It's in my view, you can think of it as a social media influencer. That's pretty much it. Because AI XBT can also just make things up, right? It's not like it's accurate all the time. So yeah, we are just going to keep focusing on bringing fun into the space, which is that making it fun to build AI agents and building AI agents which are fun, right? That's what we are sort of our North Star.
Okay, from my understanding, for the Moemate part, we are focused on the real product, real use cases. The value capture maybe will come naturally.
Yeah, I mean, see, the value capture for us is we have been running a consumer company. So we understand that the value capture is very simple. The value capture is that you have to let people enjoy it, right? So that they're willing to pay for it. On the Web3 side, what I believe is that you can build celebrity agents, right? Like celebrity agents like our own, like Nebula, Mo, right? Like AIXBT is a celebrity agent. So these celebrity agents, there is a need, and we are releasing a launchpad. It's already worked on. It's called mates.lol. The idea is that you can have your own, you can build your own celebrity agents. You can tokenize them. Your agents will have their wallets. You can give them wallet-based functions. For example, nowadays, I mean, this is the alpha. We are actually releasing 2 other agents, and though most of them will be airdrop to mates holders, right? And we're building something quite cool there. The idea is that how you can build agents which is an actually live media empire, which is fun, entertaining, and people can interact with it, right? So these are the sort of things which we have been working on. And on the Web3 side, it's about getting the community in place so that the community can start thinking about building those specialized celebrity agents, right? For those agents, I think that there would be value of they should be tens of millions or hundreds of millions, right? In value is what we are also focusing on.
What are the main revenue sources of Moemate platform as a whole?
So, I mean, on the Web2 side, we just have a subscription model, but on the Web3 side, we'll have more and more of basically this very similar model as virtuals, is that the token is the ecosystem token. So you use it as for a currency for our skills marketplace. Then
That's the
also,
Mate token.
yeah, the Mates token. And the second thing is that the Mates token is basically used as the LP pair against any agent which is created on our platform. So, an agent / mates pair is the LP token. So that's the second one. And the third one is, that's not a revenue for us, but I would say that that's the benefit of holding mates, is that every agent which is graduated on a platform, we take a certain percentage of it, and it is regularly airdrop to mates holders, right? So it's sort of an index fund that whatever new agent you want an exposure to, you just hold mates and you get some of that.
That's like an MCN or celebrity incubator.
Yeah, yeah, sort of like that. Yeah, or sort of like an index fund, right? That
Next one, yes.
yeah, so sort of like that. And then the last bit which I was telling you is that every curated agent which we will make, or we'll make in partnership with some of our big partners, the mates holders will have either a preferential access to it, or they might even get it as rewards.
Yeah, and we know the launch of Mates this week marks a promising beginning. Could you share Moemate's short-term and long-term plan?
Yeah, sure. The short-term plan is that next week we are going to be releasing our the launchpad. So that's coming out next week. We are also
Mates.lo.
yes, maze.law. We are also going to be releasing 2 of our flagship agents next week. So
Oh.
that's the second one we're doing. On the Mate side, I mean, the launch, since it went well, we have been approached by a few exchanges, so we're having those conversations as well. We're looking to announce a few major partnerships as well. So we'll be working with them on their agents. So that's what's happening in the short term. In the long term, the goal is simple: is that like we want to build the real AI crypto protocol for anybody to be able to come and build their agents.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to like help the community build their agents, right? So that they can monetize it. And, the goal is that like there should be many multi-billion-dollar agents built as part of the Mates ecosystem, right? And that's where, we will be working with the community as well as our partners so that we can really make those like specialized, curated agents. Because let's be real, right now, I think the novelty of these Twitter bots is sort of going away. Like everybody is realizing that there's nothing special about them. We're starting this program in which what we're going to do is that we will actually share a vision that, okay, this is the agent we want to build. This is the output we want to get, right?
Mhm.
And then we'll build it in public with the community, right? So that they know that, okay, this is what we're trying to achieve. And then, these are the steps we're doing towards achieving it, right? Those are the things which I'm like particularly excited about. We just signed like a pretty high profile person in the industry on the BD side. So we'll be working extensively with like big partners to like make sure that like we can make those like specialized agents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not like your typical, AI Twitter reply bots, right? Because they are becoming a bit annoying anyways.
What are the specialized agents you particularly want to see building on your platform?
Yes, the specialized agents which like I want to see is like the ones which I'm working on right now, is that if you think about it, you have AI XBT, right?
Yes.
There's the Twitter KOL. I actually want to build the live multi KOL YouTube version of it,
Love to
right?
see that.
Yes. So that's what we're building right now, right?
Mhm.
That's an example. The second one I want people to be building on is, Pokemon Go, the game.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
So the next one we want someone to come and build with us is like a Pokemon Go style of application, but with AI integrated. So, you can actually talk to it. So, for example, your companion could see everything through your camera, right?
My
And you can,
daughter is gonna be crazy for that.
so that's, so these are the kind of things which you want to build, right? Like, so you see that they're not like that's why what I mean by when I say like specialized agents, because, like you really have to like build these ones and nobody else is thinking of from that perspective, right? And we're thinking from that perspective is that like, it's not like one size fits all, but like you really have to think that like what makes these agents special and you have to like start building those, right?
And really deep down on the entertainment sector,
Yeah, because
entertainment use cases.
I mean, entertainment in general, right? Because first of all, I just think that the world is just moving more and more towards entertainment. Like if you're moving into a world of abundance, which is what is coming with AI, then which means
Mhm.
that like, people will be spending more time on entertainment.
yes.
Yes, agree.
So, entertainment as well as speculation, right? So I mean, those are the use cases which we pick up, and uh, I think entertainment and speculation also fits in very well with crypto, because at the end of the day in crypto, you're trading attention, right? So
Mm.
all of these agents, you can think of their tokens as a representation of attention which they have with the masses, right? So yeah, that's why we're like sort of focused on the entertainment side. I think anybody who's coming in and telling you that they're going to make a trading bot which will be open source and it's going to be like better than the trading bots which is being used by like, the top trading firms in the world or like the top market makers in the world, I mean, they're bullshitting. They're lying to you. So that's why I think like this highly specialized trading agents will not be built on a platform like ours, or will not be built on some open source framework. It's being built on by, so like a group of quant, and it's going to be a heavily guarded secret. So I'm like under no illusion, and I'm not telling anybody that like, oh, we are building those, because I think that's a different challenge. But yeah, in my view, we are the culture angle of AI agent in the crypto space, right? Because I think, in my view, anyways, that like the first leg in the crypto was finance, right?
Yeah.
After finance comes culture, and along with culture, you have media and everything, right? If you think about in the real world, culture is like next bit bigger than finance. Like you have entire media, Hollywood, literature, everything, right? It's all culture. So we want to focus on the culture side of things, right? Like how you can build AI agents, which our art, our creativity, right? Our entertainment, our attention seeks, right? So that's what the focus is.
Yeah, totally agree. Because we usually introduce our podcast. Day One Global is a podcast about crypto culture. Yeah, it's a lot about crypto trading.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone enjoys the culture, but few people enjoy trading.
100%. I mean, culture always eats anything, right? Like culture is, I think, the most important thing, and that's what we just want to double down on, right? So, yeah, the idea is that how we can build crypto centric, specific, attention entertainment based products through our launch pads, with our partners, enabling our community. That's sort of the goal here.
Okay. And another thing I'm curious, do you have something like the North Star? Or which metrics matters most to your team or to the Moemate?
So, I mean, two different questions. My North Star is that two things.
Mm-hmm.
In the future, anybody should be able to democratize the creation
Mm-hmm.
and hosting of AI agents. Like if
Yes.
anybody wants to build an AI agent, whatever the imagination wants, they should be able to build it. They should be able to host it, own it, operate it, etc. Right? The second thing in terms of North Star is that they should all be allowing for freedom, right? Like if somebody wants to tell a story which is sad, has element of violence in it, grief, they should be able to do it, right? If somebody wants to build something which is a game which has some NSFW components, they should be able to do it, right? So that's what is important. In terms of the short term goal, is that we want to have TVL on our platform. Our TVL should be in at least 100 million, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the short term goal. So we need a couple of agents hitting 10 million, and we're going to be we're going to hit the 100 million mark. We already have one. So I think that's the short term goal. And the third North Star for us has always been that keep listening to our users, now also the Web3 community, and making sure that we are building things that people want, right? People okay, we can use this product to create some fun AI agents, and more and more people are interacting with those AI agents. In the midterm, our North Star would be basically to enable anybody building on a platform to have outsized success, right? Because their success would be tied directly to our success, right? So that's sort of the North Star, is that how we can help people build crazy sci-fi impactful AI agents is the North Star. Like tomorrow you come to me and you're like, hey Ahad, I want to build this agent. It's a bit complicated though. Can you help us build it? And we'll be like, yes, we would guide you, we'll work with you, and let's do it, right? That's sort of the North Star, is that what we want to feel proud on is that okay, we have enabled so many people, building these really cool AI agents. The analogy I like to think of ourselves is that we are this giant publishing studio, for example Tencent. There are individual creators who are coming to us. They're game developers or uh, creators, and we are sort of enabling them to build their AI agents and distribute it for them, right? That's sort of what our North Star is, that we can enable people to get the creativity to life.
Cool. So it's like a new era of publishing, new
Yes,
era
a
of
new
creativity.
era of media and publishing.
Yeah.
You seem to, I don't know, you're reading my mind, but yeah.
Thank you. It's just a coincidence.
But yeah,
So, yeah, I'm curious that you guys are building this Nebula
yeah,
flagship
yeah,
agent for your
yeah,
platform.
yeah.
So, what is the most popular use case for Nebula now?
I mean, see, like Nebula, there's no like use case in the sense that like, it's an entertainment IP, right? So
Mm.
the use case is coming now that like now we're building her like TV show, we're building her like comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll also be like, signing partnerships with her so that, like we'll see her like in like music labels, studios, etc. Right? Because, oh, by the way, one other reason why we picked up entertainment as the vertical is because I think entertainment is going to be the one which would be the first impacted by AI. For sure, you will have AI celebrities, you will have, movies generated by AI, all of those things. And yeah, that's what like, Nebula is working on. Like, stay tuned. We are actually working on like some really cool partnerships. But she'll be an AI celebrity. She'll have like her own lore. It's more than the use case is about building a strong IP. It's like building
Yes.
a Mickey Mouse brand, or it's like building Hatsune Miku, right? So it's an AI idol, which is like you got to make sure that it's like enough popular, and then once it's enough popular, you have like a whole brand around it, right? Like it's coming on like live podcasts. It's making its own movies. It's making its own games, right? Maybe even its own merchandise, right? So it's about like creating that, like, yeah, that and that's why we picked up a persona which we think will resonate with the crypto audience but also with the normie audience, right? So we specifically wanted like, that cute sexy anime girl, because if you think about like AI agents like True Terminal and all, I mean, they can be popular in the crypto world, but like the normie world, they don't care about it. Nobody cares about like, fart jokes and all, right? Like, so we wanted to build something which is like, sexy and like, people like it. And this kind of persona is anyways quite popular with like, the anime crowd, which is a big market itself. And once again, it goes with the initial idea of why we named it like Moemate. The idea is everybody thinks about AI taking over the world, but no, you can actually have AI which is like, cute, quirky, sexy, like, and I think that is the one way to have AI adoption rather than, making AI bots which are like threatening to kill you.
Making
Right?
people scared,
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
making people, yeah, more
Exactly.
easy to use.
Yeah, yeah. You get it, right? Because it's like, because a sexy AI companion is like much more friendly for usage rather than, an AI which is telling you that I'm gonna kill you.
Exactly.
Yeah, we want to make our agent to host a podcast.
Yes, that's our dream use case.
I mean, we should do it together, like that's something we have been working on. We have been working with like some of the um, big YouTube KOLs as well, and we will be releasing it, or at least some information about it next week.
Mm,
And it'll be cool. It'll be cool. It'll be fun. It'll be cool. That's sort of what we've been working on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Look forward to trying it out. We definitely need a host of Star and Ruby on YouTube.
And the best bit is when you have that host in there, the AI can speak in all languages as well.
Yes.
I mean, AI is like more capable than us, right? So they can speak in all languages, so it's easier for them.
And another question, could you tell us more about the Moemate team? How many people are involved? Because I noticed that your development and product shipping speed is so impressive.
Yeah. So very good question. Actually, we don't have a big team. I think we have like 12 people. And now, like with marketing and all, we have added more people on the marketing side, like community marketing and all of that. So that will be like 12 plus 4 or 5. My co-founder and CTO, Chris, is based in the US. He used to be the director of research at Magic Leap. Before that, he's worked primarily on games. So he was like worked in the games industry for 2 decades, and then after that he was working with AI and embodied AI. So he has shipped like countless titles played by hundreds of millions of players. And if you guys know that like game development is one of the most competitive development out there, right? So yeah,
Yes.
he crunches hard. Most of our team is dev focused. I mean, me and like a few interns are the only people who are like non-dev. I mean, I'm the non-talented person in the team. I think that the reason why we have a good shipping speed is not because the team size is big, is because we have been working together for a while. I would say that like definitely one of the best engineers are in our team. We have our engineers in China, US, Asia, Europe, everywhere. So we hire only the best people. Many of them have been like quite proliferant open source contributors. And yeah, I mean we've been together for a while. So after a while you just get a good um, team frequency going, right? Like once you have a good team frequency, then that's where magic starts happening, right? So yeah, we're quite happy with the team, and we're actually expanding the team as well. We're actively looking to expand the team. It's just that we are quite selective, right? Like, so we have been looking to expand the team for the past 3 months. We've been interviewing candidates. We've been talking to candidates. So yeah, if someone is interested, and if you're hearing this podcast, please feel to reach out to me at
Yes.
ahad@moemate.io. At Moemate.io. We're always looking for craft engineers. If you're a craft community person, if you're a great community builder, please also reach out to us as well. We have a big, Chinese community. We have like developers we have a Chinese developers in our team as well. Fun fact, like one of our developers, he doesn't even speak English, but he writes.
No.
Yeah, and he's been with us for the past 3 or 4 years, like so
Wow.
and he's in fact one of our best.
Impressive way to collaborate.
But yeah, now I think he has learned a bit because I do hear him sometimes. But yeah, so yeah. Please, feel free to reach out to us. We are always looking for. You could be a full stack developer. You could be an AI developer. Even if you're an AI researcher, please do reach out because we love actually hiring people who come from like organic sources because we have just found that they're just much better than putting on a job ad or something like that.
We'll put your contact information in our show notes on our newsletter.
Thank you. Thank you. That
Hope
would be great.
someone who are interested in Moemate, in AI development, they can reach out to you.
That would be great. That would be great. Much appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah, we noticed that the fundraising of Moemate in the media coverage was majorly in the last cycle. So, did you raise fund from VCs after working on Moemate, after you pivoting from Webverse to Moemate?
I tried to raise funds with VCs, but I think VCs they're not that smart. Like I think crypto VCs are not that smart, so they missed out on it. We actually didn't raise much. We didn't raise from VCs. We didn't raise much. We only raised from the community. We only
Yes,
did
that's why you did the community
Resale.
sale, right?
yeah. I mean, even before that, like all of our funds have been raised by the community or like small community DAOs or community VCs.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I mean the VCs were busy funding another layer 1 or they were busy funding the 1000th L2. I mean I was on like
69 L2.
no, not 6900, like yeah, I spent a lot of time educating them, to be honest, but I realized that crypto VCs are actually not that smart, and retail is actually smarter than VCs. Many of the great things, not all, but most of the great things which have come out in crypto is actually community based, right? I mean, look at Binance, look at Uniswap. One of my mentors, he was telling me that like, if you're being funded by the community and you're not being funded by VC, it is very bullish. And now, when I was doing the TGE at that time, like all of the VC funds were in my DMs. They wanted an allocation, and I said, no, guys. I mean, you're not going to get an allocation like 2 weeks before TGE, right? You can just go and like buy it in the secondary markets, right? So yeah, I mean, we actually talked to many of these VCs. I tried to educate them, but yeah, they were just busy funding those L1s and L2s at that time.
Yeah, I see like the early supporters include Flamingo DAO, so also from community.
Yes. And by the way, like our VCs, like our equity investors, I have a lot of respect for them, especially One Confirmation.
Oh, yes, one confirmation, yes.
One Confirmation, in my view, one of the best consumer crypto VCs. They were the first check or one of the first checks in OpenSea. They were one of the first big supporters and checks into things like Polymarket.
Moemate.
Yeah, so like those guys definitely get it. AI was just not their forte. They're not into that space yet. But now, Nick has been like texting me that I think they will be seeing it as well, since the space is there. But yeah, we were just so early that like people were not able to see it. And I was having this problem. Our problem was weird because Moemate was doing extremely well. We got a lot of interest from Web2 VCs, and big Web2 VCs. And I told them that we had our Web3 plans because we had to. We have Web3 roots, right? We come from the crypto space. We have an older community as well. So I told them I have Web3 plans, and they were not okay with it. So I was in the weird spot in which like the Web2 VCs wanted to invest in me, but I had Web3 plans. So that's why they did not invest in us. And the Web3 VCs, they didn't want to invest. This is where we were, right? So, but yeah, then the community could see it, and I was like, okay, that's good, and we just went with that.
Understand.
Yeah, same fun fact that in this round of AI agents, I think most of the VC is missing out. Yeah, Virtuous Portal have low VC, and AI16Z have low VC.
Yeah, they will buy the top. I'm telling you, like they will buy the top. So AI16Z, I don't know if
That's
you guys.
good. They will start building after buying at the top.
No, I'll tell you, right? Shaw, he used to work with us. He's still a good friend.
Yes.
So a couple of VCs, they reached out to me, and they were like, "Oh, can you like arrange an OTC deal?" And at that time, AI16Z was at 900 million or 700, 800. It was in December. I told them, go and just buy it in the markets. They're like, no, we're like trying to get it like an OTC or whatever. I said, buy it in the market. Otherwise, you'd have to go and buy it at 2 billion. And then, like after 3-4 days, it was at 2 billion. I said, like, that's why I'm telling you, like just go and buy it in the market. So I'm telling you guys, like everybody who is there, and this is like my second, third cycle, whatever. Retail is 100% more intelligent than 99% of the crypto VCs. So the crypto VCs are not smart. Like I'm like telling you like very upfront, right? Of course, doesn't apply to everyone. Like, some crypto VCs are smart, but most of them are not. And my biggest problem is that like, A, they don't understand what's happening in the space. They're a bit disconnected. And B, they're not VCs, because VC means that there's venture capital, which means that you need to be funding innovation, right? That's why we just see copycats in the crypto space. We don't see innovation. We see like the 1,000 L2 doing the same thing because they don't fund innovation. They don't take enough risks, right? And I'll tell you why that happens. Because I've raised funding and I've talked to Web2 VCs as well, right? So I have experience there. In the Web2 VC world, most of the VCs, not most, but many of the VCs, especially in Silicon Valley, they're ex-founders themselves, right? So they are founders themselves.
Yes, their founders is turning to VC fund.
Yes. Whereas like, the Web3 VCs are not necessarily founders, right? Like maybe they like stumbled across crypto early. Maybe they're coming from TradFi background. Maybe they came during the DeFi phase. They were farming or whatever. They got lucky, right? So they have absolutely zero idea about product innovation. They have absolutely zero idea about the pulse of even, I would say, like trends, right? Like they can't see, right? So yeah, I think that the real validation should always be coming from retail. That's always a much, much, much bigger bullish signal, because in my view, if like Satoshi had gone and like, tried to pitch to VCs that he's building Bitcoin, nobody would have funded them. It was like, oh, who's going to buy this? So
the same as Ethereum. I remember like,
yeah, exactly. So like it's the
yeah.
same. That's why I'm saying all bigger things. And like, I mean, these are still like, early cycles, right? Like Bitcoin, Ethereum, but like even like last cycle or before, right? Even like Binance, right? Like all of these things, they're like the community funded stuff just shows more organic demand, right? So I think that's the bullish thing. So just a note to like project founders, raising money, if you're not able to raise money, or like if VCs are saying no, that does not mean anything. Like don't seek validation from VCs, because founders have the vision which nobody else does. Like yeah, so like raising money is not a validation exercise. The validation exercise comes through users. If your users love you, if your community loves you, it means you have real demand, right?
Yes.
Even if somebody is not willing to give you money, then it's their loss, which means that they don't have that vision, right? That they don't have that hindsight, right? So they will lose out on the upside, right? But raising money is never a validation thing. Because also, by the way, which is also the weirdest thing, and I never understood it, is that even though crypto VCs, or they're supposed to invest on a long-term horizon, but even their mood works with the market. So they want to like invest in a bull market, which is a bit weird, right? Like now people want to invest, whereas if they would have invested, for example, anybody who invested in our round is up by 8x or 7x. In some cases are up 10x already. So if they would have invested like a couple of months ago, they would have been like already like 10x, and this is going 100x, right? But yeah, crypto VCs, I would just say that like one little request is fund applications, because at the end of the day, users are going to come via applications. There's one very interesting thing which is happening with this whole AI agent meta. If you guys think about it, chain loyalties don't matter, which is always what I've been telling the VCs, that like at the end of the day, applications bring in real users, and applications are the ones which will have real power. When you go to a shop, you don't care if it's using Visa or MasterCard, right? Like, so it's the same thing, right? Like applications are going to fund the next big adoption in the crypto space, whether it's AI, whether it's gaming, whether it's like even betting markets or whatever, right? Like they're
Yes.
all applications, yeah, not infrastructure.
That's what we believe into.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, applications what brings users. It's as simple as that, like not building the 6900. I mean, that's nobody cares.
Okay. Yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah, I built application for last 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, applications are magic. People like using it. People like them, right? Like infrastructure. I mean, I get it. The past 5-10 years, we needed infrastructure in the crypto space. But now we have enough infrastructure, and we need like more and more interesting applications.
Yes.
Yeah.
Applications can build their own app chain.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
and the users are scarce in this ecosystem.
Exactly. That's the point. And like if you wanna get real users, you wanna have real applications, right? It's as simple as that. So yeah, I think all funding innovation, and by the way, this is also the alpha. If you want outsized returns, I think the next wave in crypto is going to be coming through things like applications, is going to be coming through things like culture, right? Like
Yeah.
we saw with NFTs. In fact, we'll have the next bigger one fueled by AI, which will be like, individual people building their like media empires and everything, right? So I think all of these things are like more interesting to me. And I personally like to support and fund these myself. And I think that's where the biggest gains are going to be as well. I want to like enable all of the new creators to be able to like use AI and create like interesting applications, which people are also calling agents, right? I mean, applications, agents, kind of the same thing in this context.
That's pretty clear.
Yes. Yeah, I think that answer my another question, because someone argues that crypto AI agent is just another crypto narrative that will fade in 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's in a bubble phase.
So
How do
there
you
are two
respond
things.
to that perspective?
I 100% agree. It is in a bubble. So I think there are two things which are true. So the first thing is that I think that like the impact of AI agents in the crypto space would be 100 times bigger than what it is right now. So it is undervalued. And at the same time, we are in the bubble. So both things are true, right? I think in the long term, the impact would be much bigger. In the short term, most of your projects are going to zero.
Yes, agree.
Right. So that's where, like my challenge comes in as a builder, is because, like short term token price is one thing, but, you can have good token price, but if you don't build a great ecosystem, then that token is going to zero. And by the way, like these tokens, they could be 1 billion or 2 billion. They can go to zero very well. I mean, look at like, for example, some of the memes from like a couple of months ago, right?
Yes.
So the goal is simple, right? Like we have been in the space, we have survived everything. I've survived a hack, I've survived a bear market. And for us is that like, we're going to keep our heads down and keep building. How can you build like delightful experiences which people are coming in and we can own it, they can monetize it, they can speculate on it, they can trade it. That's what we want to enable people, right? So it's sort of almost like building a new app store, but it's a different, right? Because app store is like you just get published into one place. I'm talking about an app store which you can use to publish in many places. Like you can use it to like bring it as a mobile one. You can use it to bring it in your AR VR. You can bring it as a Telegram bot, right? So it's sort of like that kind of thing is what we're building towards, one step at a time. And the goal is very simple. Like it's a loose analogy, but think about it this way. 2 decades ago, 20 years ago, if I would have told you that you can be a creator and you can make money just by posting or just by making video, you wouldn't have believed me, right? But social media started that. We had YouTube, then we have now TikTok. I think there's a next generation of creation which is coming through AI, which is not going to be just like these recordings. It's going to be these AI and these multi-AI agent applications, simulations and all, which is what we want to like focus on and enable creators like you so you can build your creations using our platform, operate it, host it, and build it into billion-dollar empires. That's sort of the goal here, right?
The vision and the goal is very attractive to creators like us.
Yeah, and it's already happening because see, the thing is that like we're moving into a world in AI in which AI will be able to do a lot. Our goal is to make sure that that value is captured not only by the open AIs of the world, but by small creators like everybody, like yourself, like myself, so that people can like use those models and build like those end user facing delivery applications, right? Like that's sort of what the goal is there.
I really look forward to that stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now if we want to be a multimedia, multi-platform creators, there are a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
And you have to cater to like each platform. If we can just have like one IP, one agent that can, travel to different platforms and posting for us and generate different content based on the platform, then yeah, it will be very relieving and a very fun experience to us.
%. So it's about those only. And then the next thing which that's my personal thing is that like I feel extremely lucky that when I was growing up, like you're into science fiction, right? Like you read things, people living in a simulation and like, you read about AI. We are living through that phase. We are living through, like whatever we thought was like very future, like we're living through that phase. So my personal goal is that like, things which we thought about in science fiction, like as a kid, we should be able to actually build those, right? Like you can have an AI agent within AR, VR, like right around you, moving around your house, right? Like talking to you, like, like you're looking at it, right? Like dancing at you, right? Dancing with you, whatever, right? That's what my personal goal is to build. And once again, very fortunate to live through these times, very fortunate to be able to work on this problem. And the best part is that it's not something which is going to come in 5 years, it's coming this year or the next, right? So like any science fiction use case we can think of, I want to build that. So yeah.
Yes, maybe one last question.
Yes.
I also found a fun fact here. Many current AI agent entrepreneurs have backgrounds in Metaverse projects. Yeah, including you, AI systems Sean, who previously worked with you. Yeah, are there any interesting stories behind this pattern?
Maybe I think that you guys are still working towards the same goal. You see that AI agent or AI component is a very important building block as the path to the metaverse?
So I think the reason is that it's literally the same concept.
Hmm.
It's just that like when people were thinking about the metaverse, they used to think that like a metaverse means that it needs to be a 3D world, it needs to be a game, right?
Mhm.
That's not what a metaverse means. In my view, the metaverse just means a digital location,
Mhm.
right? Twitter is a metaverse. X is a
Yes,
metaverse,
Yes.
I just want to say Twitter is a form of metaverse too.
right? So I actually wrote about this like 3 years ago in my article. I wrote about it that like in the metaverse, we might have AI agents as Twitter bots. And yeah, I wrote about
We
it.
have already realized that.
I mean, I didn't, but that's happening. Like it's
Yes.
a published article. You can go and you can like check it out yourself. I mean, for me and Shaw, because we have talked about it so much, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
We started working on this. I was in a different continent, right? Like I spend way more time and I'm way more closer to like my friends on the internet, right? Like whether it's my crypto friends, whether it's my team as well, right? Like I work 100% remotely. So we are anyways living in the metaverse, like I am like much closer to people. For example, my team member who's in India or in US or in China, than my neighbor in Australia. I don't even know who lives next door. So we are all like already part of like internet communities, right? So I think the reason is very simple, is that like as the world is moving, we are going to be spending way more time and resources digitally than
Mhm.
physically. And that's what the metaverse is. And AI is an enabler of the entire digital world, right? Like everything is going to be AI-fied. Everything,
Mm.
right? So for us, it was that like, okay, like if you're making that metaverse, right? Like how do you use AI to be able to actually build it? And then how do you use AI to keep it interesting?
Hmm.
So on the 3D metaverse bit, right? And that's where I can tell you that like, for example, what my rationale was, or my, or probably possibly even like Shaw's, right? Is that metaverse is not a new concept. It has had multiple iterations. Now, this is probably like the fourth iteration of it happening right now. The problem with all of those metaverses were like those 3D games, that they're just like dead worlds, right? So with AI, what you can do is that you can make it interesting, you can make it alive, you can make it a story, you can make it a universe, right?
Mhm.
That's where we realize that you actually need these AI, because at the end of the day, is what populates these metaverses, right? So I think that's where the background has been. I think the only difference is that like we're still chasing towards that metaverse dream, and we always knew it. That's why I published it in the article as well, which is I wrote like 3-4 years ago, is that AI is a critical component required to realize that metaverse vision. So
We'll put it in the show notes too. Definitely worth reading.
yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
Yeah, very good point. And it reminds me, another real point from Balaji: digital first and physical second.
Yeah. So Balaji is also an angel investor in us, and in fact, if you guys know about the network school, so before the network school, he used to run a hacker society called 70 years, where
Yeah.
Yes. We did 2 episodes on a podcast about biology's book
Okay.
and network school.
So yeah, so 1729 is where we were a part of, where we met Balaji. That's how we basically started Webaverse. So at that time, Balaji used to run lectures in
In
VR,
Discord.
in
Oh, in
Discord,
VR.
yeah, in Discord and VR, because it was during COVID. So like all of those things were happening, and then we were saying that okay, we can build like something which is like much more like entertaining and like physically connected. So yeah, that was sort of the roots, right? But yeah, I mean, the Balaji thoughts, they're already happening. We're all part of like internet communities. I mean, you have a NFT, PFP, right? I'm sure you have internet friends. Thanks to being in crypto, I have friends in like all 4 continents, right? And I mean, I spend way more time with them than I spend like with my physical friends. So
Yes, we have the same experience too. Every day is GN on those chat,
exactly. So I think it's already happening. It's just that like, yeah, it's the metaverse is just look at Facebook. Like they changed their name to Meta. They had a big, big pushback. Their stock price tanked and everything. But at the same time, Mark was also making very significant AI investments. In fact, the biggest capable models are open sourced by them, like Llama 2 and all, right? So the reason is because Zuck always knew that it's not just the headset, right? Like need the AI and everything for towards that metaverse vision. So he's been building around the same lines as well, right? So it's like AI and metaverse, they just go like hand in hand. You just realize that. He's playing the long term game. So I would say that the metaverse, it's not even a point in time where we are going. It's already here, right? Like we're already in the metaverse. It's just getting more immersive, more interactive, more fun, right? Like that's basically what's happening.
Yes, so we have already halfway there, and we will move into a stage of more interactive, more immersive, more fun experience of metaverse. That's
Yeah.
what Moemate and the AI are enabling.
Yes. Yeah. So that's exactly. I mean, you put it the right way. It's a journey. The metaverse is a journey. You keep getting like more immersive, more interactive, more real, right? So that's sort of what's happening here. That's my view.
Thanks for sharing with us.
Yes, we learn a lot from you.
Likewise, likewise. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I really liked it, and I would love to stay in touch, and hopefully we can have one of these again.
Okay.
Okay.
Hope to meet you RL, maybe in the next conference or maybe next trip you are heading to.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, definitely. If I'm there, then would love to meet up. Yeah.